President Trump now announcing new tariffs on the European Union and Mexico. Trump is imposing a 30% tariff on Mexico, which he says is due to fentanyl crossing the border. The same tariff rate is being imposed on the European Union because of the U.S. trade deficit.
On Friday, diplomats in Brussels and Mexico City may have slept a little easier. Intense negotiations with the United States were underway. There was a glimmer of hope, a sense that a deal was within reach. They believed they understood the rules of the game. Then came Saturday, and with a single social media post, the game board was flipped. President Donald Trump announced a surprise economic strike, not on an enemy, but on America's closest friends. A new 30% tariff would be imposed on the European Union and Mexico, two of America's largest and most important trading partners. This was no longer a threat, it was a declaration.
Well, let's start with the governments, because their response from the EU and Mexico has been swift. Right after President Trump posted those letters, we now have responses from both. The EU saying that this is going to hurt workers both here and in Europe.
Imagine the sense of betrayal. EU officials, who had resigned themselves to a possible 10% tariff, were suddenly faced with a blow 3 times as painful. And Mexico, a country that had deployed 10,000 troops to the border, broken records in fentanyl seizures, and done everything Washington asked, was now rewarded with tariffs that could cripple its economy. This story is moving at lightning speed, with new developments every hour that will shape the future of the global economy. To ensure you get the fastest and deepest analysis, take a moment to press like and subscribe. Turn on your notifications, because what happens next will be critical. This is no longer just a trade dispute. It has become a global test of loyalty. And the question we must answer today is, what happens when you treat your closest friends like your worst enemies? To understand the depth of the wound caused by this announcement, we must look south, to Mexico. For months, the administration of President Claudia Sheinbaum has been walking a tightrope of diplomacy. They took extraordinary steps to appease Washington. They deployed thousands of troops. They cracked down hard on cartels, seizing record amounts of fentanyl, even extraditing cartel leaders, a step they were once reluctant to take. The result? Illegal border crossings plummeted to their lowest levels in decades. President Trump even praised President Sheinbaum as an extraordinary woman. Economic Minister Marcelo Ebrard was in Washington on Friday, confident that they were building a more productive relationship. Then, the bomb dropped. Ebrard called the move unfair in a statement. And today, the latest news from Mexico City shows that disappointment has turned into cold fury. In an emergency press conference this morning, the Mexican government announced that it is now seriously considering all options, including proportional retaliatory measures. This is a dramatic shift in tone. Mexico, which has never retaliated against U.S. tariffs, is now openly signaling that its patience has run out. Across the Atlantic in Brussels, the shock was just as great. EU leaders from Ursula von der Leyen to Maros Sefcovic had been in regular contact with Washington. They were bracing for a worst-case scenario of 10% tariffs, while hoping to negotiate exemptions for vital industries like German cars, Italian wine, and Irish pharmaceuticals. The sudden 30% threat, combined with Trump's explicit warning that further retaliation would trigger even higher tariffs, shattered those hopes. Their initial statements were cautious. Kaja Kallas, the EU's top diplomat, said on Friday, "We do not want this trade war." But that was Friday. The latest news we received this morning from Europe shows that sentiment has hardened over the weekend. After a series of emergency calls between Brussels, Berlin, and Paris, diplomatic sources now confirm that the €21 billion retaliatory tariff package prepared by Europe will no longer be postponed. Europe's patience appears to have reached its limit. As Jacob Funk Kierkegaard, a senior fellow at the Bruegel think tank, put it, this means a trade war. And Trump's warning against retaliation? Kierkegaard doesn't think it will matter. He said they've consistently said they would defend themselves under the right conditions. Those conditions are now here. And as the world prepares to strike back, the consequences are already being felt at home. Financial markets are bracing for a brutal Monday open. S&P 500 and Dow Jones futures are plunging, an early sign that Wall Street takes the threat of a two-front trade war very seriously. But more significant are the political cracks starting to emerge domestically. For the first time, we're seeing pushback from within the president's own party. A senior Republican senator from a border state like Texas, whose economy depends heavily on trade with Mexico, said anonymously that the move is deeply damaging to our farmers, ranchers, and manufacturers. This is a signal that domestic political support for this trade war may not be as strong as the White House believes. So this is where we are now. Mexico, from cooperative partner to retaliatory actor. The European Union, from patient negotiator to awakened giant. And in America, resistance is building, from businesses and even within the president's own party. The August 1st deadline now looms over everything. This is no longer about negotiating to avoid tariffs, but about how much damage will be done. The question is no longer if America's allies will retaliate, but how coordinated their retaliation will be. The world has spent the weekend choosing sides. The battle lines have been drawn, not on maps, but in shipping manifests and tariff codes. The era of friendly trade may be over. The era of economic warfare has begun.
And they said that they are preparing, or weighing, I should say, get this, a proportional response. So what does that mean? Are they threatening that they're going to put in their own retaliatory tariffs? Remember, President Trump has been very clear.
Faced with this surprise attack, what should be the primary goal for Europe and Mexico? Retaliate forcefully to show strength, or seek de-escalation at all costs to protect their economies? Share your strategic advice in the comments below. Thank you for watching this developing story. For constant, in-depth analysis of the forces shaping our world, make sure you are subscribed. We will see you on the next front line.